This video is to show task number 12. It asked us to consider a cube that was shown in our homework assignment with edges W, X, Y, and Z. And the edges are line segments where the faces of the cube meet. Using these edges, W, X, Y, and Z only, try to find a pair of edges that are A, skew, B, perpendicular, and C, parallel. The first thing that I did was I recreated the image that was on the two-dimensional homework paper, and I made it into GeoGebra. So because GeoGebra does limit types of labels, what I did instead was I tried to color code the line segments. So we have up here in our key, line segment W from the picture that was assigned to us was now in orange, so it is this segment right here. And as you can see, I'm going to try to rotate this a little bit better to see more clearly. That's the orange segment, that's W. The green segment right here, the vertical segment, that is X. The pink segment, as I'm dragging, you can see it right there very clearly, is Y. And then the blue segment is Z. So what we're going to do is try to show the differences between the three categories. We're going to start off with, actually, I'm going to go in a different order than what it says. So I'm going to start with parallel. Parallel is pretty easy for a lot of kids to understand, a lot of humans to understand, a lot of adults to understand. So let's start there and then work our way back. So we know that parallel needs to be never intersecting. So the parallel sides that I have pointed out are going to be W is parallel with Z. So again, W is in the orange right here. My cursor is lining over it. And then Z is in the blue down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in some, not that one, some line segments to show. So there's the, not the line segments, lines, pardon me, to show the extension. And then I'm going to also do that. So let me get my rotator on so I can get this. What you can see a lot more clearly now that I'm rotating it is in fact that we have parallel lines traveling through the edges of W and Z. So we can go ahead and say that W is parallel to Z. Now in any cube there are multiple options of these scenarios. I am just showing one of each, parallel, skew, and perpendicular. So this is the parallel result. I have W is parallel to Z. Going forward, I'm going to go kind of backwards. So now that we did parallel, I'm going to go ahead and do perpendicular. With perpendicular, the easiest one to locate is going to be that X is perpendicular to Y. So in my color-coded image, X is green, so X is right here, the vertical, and then Y is this horizontal pink. And I'm going to go ahead and actually put on those lines to also show. And I'm going to even go a step further because perpendicular is that much more specific. I'm going to go in and make an angle. So we've got this, and this. And again, it shows that 90. So let me rotate so you can see. Perpendicular needs to be intersecting at a 90-degree angle, and in order for it to be truly perpendicular, both of those have to happen. You can't just have intersecting, and you can't just have a 90-degree angle. You have to have the intersection at a 90-degree angle. So this was my answer for perpendicular. Again, X is perpendicular to Y. So I'm going to go ahead and take that information off just so that we can see a little bit more clearly our shape again. And again, using the cube, I am now going to find skew. Now, what's important to know about skew is that they are never going to intersect, but at the same time, they're never going to be parallel. So what I like to tell my kids is to find two lines that are traveling in completely different directions on completely different planes. So for instance, in this particular example, I chose to use X, which is the green segment, and Z, which is the blue segment. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight those lines again. Wrong line. Okay, and if you look at it just first glance, right like this, because it is at a certain viewpoint, it almost looks like the lines are intersecting, and skew is not allowed to intersect. But I'm going to go ahead and rotate, and as soon as you rotate that image, you will notice that they are not in an intersecting fashion, and they only look that way to the naked eye if we have the perspective at a certain angle. So again, this shows skew, and skew is not parallel, not intersecting, does not have any creation of specific angles or anything else. And I always tell my students, try to just choose totally different directions on totally different planes. So we have shown that in a cube we can see all styles of lines, skew, perpendicular, and parallel. And again, this was to cover task number 12.